Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Sahar Maynard, and this is episode 2 of our Real Estate Deep Dive series, Real Estate and Life in Santa Clarita Valley. Today we're talking about a headline-grabbing topic, the 50-year mortgage. Yup, just when you thought 30 years felt long enough, here comes a loan that actually spans half a century. So what does that actually mean for home buyers? Does stretching out the term make homeownership more affordable, or does it just lock you into a lifetime of payments with very little equity early on? And what does it mean for the market as a whole? Today we're breaking down the pros, the cons, the hidden gotchas, and the situations where a 50-year mortgage might make sense, and the times when it definitely doesn't. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dig into what an ultra-long mortgage really means for you, your budget, and your long-term wealth. Hi everyone, this is Sahar Maynard here from Keller Williams VIP Properties, and today I wanted to talk about something new in the mortgage market, a newly proposed idea, the 50-year mortgage. Let's talk about what it could mean for home buyers, how it might affect you, and what to watch out for. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what it is. The proposal is to extend the standard U.S. fixed-rate mortgage term from 30 years up to 50 years. The idea is that by lengthening the repayment period, monthly payments should fall, making homeownership more affordable, which we all know has been a big problem this last year. And although it's not law yet, major changes are going to be required from the mortgage finance system. The current government-backed sponsors, such as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, mostly back loans only up to 30 years, which has been the standard for decades now, and it could face regulatory and legal hurdles before it becomes law. Okay, so let's take a look at the pros first, and here are some of the potential benefits. There definitely could be lower monthly payments, with payments being spread out over 50 years instead of 30 years. Most monthly principal and interest payments would shrink. For example, on a typical home, let's say the average median currently in the US being around $415,000, a 30-year repayment might be something around $2,288, and that's just principal and interest. The 50-year version of that would be around $2,022, assuming the same interest rate. It's a modest drop, so it wouldn't make a significant difference. It's about, a few $100s a month, but that could still be really big for a lot of buyers. For younger buyers especially, who are usually cash flow constrained, this could broaden access. It means that less of their income would be tied up monthly, and it could potentially be a gateway for first-time home buyers. The lower payments will definitely give more breathing room in a budget, possibly letting someone buy earlier rather than waiting, or to find a slightly stronger home than they otherwise might have. In a market like ours in Santa Clarita and LA, where home prices tend to be high and debt-to-income ratios are very tight, the longer term will mean a lot of clients will qualify for a better loan. And although it's uncommon, there is one other possible benefit, flexibility. For a homeowner that actually intends to keep the property long-term, 40 or 50 years, the extended term might align with a very long stay and ownership goal. Okay, so let's take a minute to look at the cons now, and there are significant downsides and risks, equally important for your clients to understand. There's definitely going to be a much slower equity buildup. With a 50-year loan, a larger portion of the early payments will be going towards interest rather than principal. So after, let's say, 10 to 15 years, you'll have much less equity or ownership stake in your home than you would under a traditional 30-year fixed term. This also means that you'll have less wealth accumulation, and that's a huge part of what owning a home is usually about. Next, there's the much higher total interest cost. Over the life of this loan, the total interest paid could be dramatically higher. For example, a $400,000-ish home at 6.25% interest on a 50-year term could total to cost you around $816,000 versus $438,000 on a standard 30-year mortgage. Even if the monthly payments drop, the lifetime cost could be much greater. Staying in debt longer, retirement risks. If you start the loan in your 30s, a 50-year term means you're still paying well into your 70s and 80s, possibly beyond. That overlaps with retirement when incomes often fall and other expenses, maintenance, taxes, healthcare could rise. For buyers whose goal is to be mortgage free by retirement, this could be a misalignment. There's a lot of unknowns here. It's also likely that lenders will charge a higher interest rate for a 50-year term versus a 30-year term to compensate for the extra risk of a longer duration. So that actually reduces some of the monthly payment benefits. Also, the government buying program may have a more difficult underwriting, securitizing, and insuring on a 50-year loan, meaning potentially higher costs and fewer options. Now, this doesn't solve the bigger supply affordability issues. Many experts actually say that while extending loan terms could reduce monthly costs, it definitely doesn't address the root problem: lack of housing supply, rising prices, cost of land and labor, zoning bottlenecks. In fact, introducing more purchasing power via lower payments without increasing supply could actually drive prices
Up.
off. So now let's talk about what this means for buyers. If you're looking in the Santa Clarita, Valencia, or LA region, like most of my clients are, here's some things to think about as a buyer and as a seller. First of all, for buyers, if you're looking for home ownership for decades and your cash flow is tight right now, but you're expecting it to improve in a few years, a 50-year term could make sense, but only if you plan to pay extra or refinance in a few years. For sellers, be aware that this could change the general behavior of buyers in your market. It will give them access to better possibilities. However, they might be more hesitant. Now, as I mentioned in every video, anything relating to loans, you would always want to get more information from a licensed lender. However, I would just want to provide information so that you can make the best choice. The point is not to convince you that a 50-year mortgage is a good idea or a bad idea for you. It's just to provide the information so you can make an informed decision for yourself. And also consider it's not actually on the market yet. This is something that's been proposed, probably will need to go through quite a few hurdles before it's actually signed into law if it gets that far. In summary, the 50-year mortgage idea definitely offers a shortcut. It's going to reduce the monthly payment burden, but at a cost. There's going to be slower equity building, longer debt horizons, and a larger total interest paid. There's systemic risks. It's a tool, it's not a magic fix for housing affordability, but for many buyers, it could make sense in certain situations. The trade-offs just have to be clearly understood. And if you like, together a one-page handout PDF comparing 30-year versus hypothetical 50-year loan for your current market in Santa Clarita and Valencia. And this could include payments, interest paid, equity buildup, and you can definitely contact me if you'd like to see something like that.